don't focus so hard on the destination, right? Take a moment to recognize this current state that you're in and enjoy the ride getting to your destination.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's special segment right here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse. I am your host and curator, Megan Young Gamble. If you've been rocking with us here on the Product and Packaging Powerhouse, you know who I am. But if this is your first time, welcome to the house. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I am the host and curator of this industry podcast where we talk about the good and the ugly truth around the creation, development, and launch of products and packaging from various business sectors to help intentional brands launch their products into market and know what's coming down the pipeline. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is a special episode for me because I'm coming up on my 10th wedding anniversary with my husband, who is actually my esteemed powerhouse joining me for today. So this is going to be a very candid conversation. We did not rehearse this. We did not go over questions in advance of this interview. But I thought this would be something really cool to do because, one, we're both in complementary sectors. So I do packaging and project execution for health, beauty, and wellness brands. And my husband, Brandon, is the CEO of Pallet Pros, which is a pallet distribution company in Atlanta. So you know products, packaging, and pallets go together. And with both of us celebrating our 10 years of marriage, I thought it would also be cool to highlight the intersection of marriage, business, and also products and packaging and pallets. And so, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you give a warm welcome to my husband, my number one fan, Brandon. So, hey, babe.
Thank you for having me today, baby. I appreciate it. You look absolutely stunning, as always, today. How you doing today?
I'm good. It's been a really good day for us because we took some dope anniversary pictures.
Absolutely.
You know, we're coming up on 10 years of marriage. Like, it's going by really fast. And the fact that we're both in full-time entrepreneurs and maintaining our household, maintaining our sanity, building out two businesses, like, it's so cool to have you on this side to join me for this conversation.
Well, I'm glad I was able to finally lock in with you on the podcast. You know, your schedule is, you know what I'm saying, so busy. I had to fit into your schedule.
Y'all see how he doing.
Mrs. CEO, Miss Boss Lady.
Hey, so
we live in the same house, and I had to get on her schedule.
Y'all see how he trying
to. But I'm
do.
happy to be here.
Listen, we're both busy, and at the end of the day, we do make time for each other, but it's good to have him on this side of the table with me for an intentional conversation, and I'm so glad he's here. So without further ado, let me have my bae, my hubs, my number one fan and my number one supporter to share a little bit about yourself and how you got into the beautiful world of pallets.
All right. Well, Megan did a wonderful introduction there. My name is Brandon Gamble. I'm the CEO of Pallet Pros, which is a pallet distribution company servicing Cobb County, which is Metro Atlanta, essentially. And we supply pallets as well as other warehouse materials to businesses within Cobb County. I'm also the CEO of Pallet Pros Academy, which is a coaching platform where we coach people that want to get into the pallet industry. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I left there when I was around 10 years old, moved to Savannah, Georgia, and that's where I kind of grew up, and that's kind of what I claim. After I graduated high school from Savannah, I went to college at Tuskegee University. I did my 4 years and got up out of there, and then I moved to Atlanta. Tuskegee is about an hour and a half from Atlanta, so we used to come up from Tuskegee to Atlanta all the time, and it was the closest major city. And then plus, obviously, growing up in Savannah, everybody that lives in Savannah, when they grow up, they want to move to Atlanta. So it was like a logical move for me. Plus, a lot of my friends, when I was at Tuskegee at the time, were from Atlanta. So it was just a logical move for me. When I got to Atlanta, you know, my first couple of jobs were kind of management jobs. I worked at Walgreens for a while. Then I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. In between that time, I kind of had other little gigs. I was a personal trainer for a while. And then I also had, like little side hustles and things of that nature to, keep money in my pocket. And so how I got into the pallet business was basically, as I stated before, I always was doing entrepreneurial type ventures. Before this, Megan and I had a photo booth business together. We had a brief stint where we did like vending machines. Like I said, I was a personal trainer. But at the same time, while I was doing all that stuff, I held down a 9 to 5. But basically, during COVID is when I came across the information about the pallet business. Obviously, everybody knows the world kind of shut down at that time. And so Megan and I were both working from home. And for me, anyway, I kind of fell into a bad habit of basically rolling out of the bed right before I had to clock into business. And it wasn't really going anywhere. I was making really good money at the time. I was able to support the family, things of that nature. But in terms of, for myself, it just wasn't where I wanted to be at the time. So I was doing a lot of YouTube University. And I just came across some information about the pallet business. And I remember I told Megan, I said, hey, I think this is a good idea. I don't necessarily know exactly how to proceed forward with it, but I think this might be a good idea. And she encouraged me and she said, hey, go out there and look and see what you can find. And if you really believe that this is something that you can do and that you want to do, then, go for it. So I went out there and I saw that there was a lot of opportunity, within this business model. And I kind of I wanted to dive in head first, but, my wife and all her wisdom, she said, hey, why don't you see if you can get a leave of absence from your job before you just take that dive. And so that's what I did. I applied for leave of absence. I got accepted for the leave of absence. And during that time is when I really went full steam ahead with building the business. And I'll never forget, after my leave of absence ended and I clocked in the very first day after taking, 45 days off or something like that, whatever it was an extended period of time, I ended up clocking in and I said, man, I really don't want to do this. And I got a call on my business line for somebody that needed some pallets at the time. And I had an internal decision to make. Will I sit here for a full day's worth of work and make, a couple $100, or can I go get this $100 in about 2 hours? And so I decided at that time to get that couple $100 in those, few hours. And then I remember as soon as I came back home, I told my wife that day, I said, I'm quitting. And she said, go for it. I believe in you. And the rest is history.
Such an amazing story. And I think, as I reflect on like my own personal detour to destination journey, which is episode 2. So make sure y'all go check it out. First thing I mentioned in the episode is how I graduated college and I needed a job, and I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. So my detour to destination journey talks about going from pharmacy to car rental to packaging. So during that stage of car rental, my husband my boyfriend at that time was working at Enterprise and told me to come work there, and he split the referral money. So y'all will hear a funny story about that a little bit more in depth of how he split the referral money with me. But that goes to show like our evolution and how we've taken a lot of detours to get here. But then secondly, during the COVID period, like it was really, really a blessing for our household in transparency, because as you mentioned, babe, during that time you realized that you weren't really keen of like how you were feeling personally and professionally. You was like, I have to do something different. And I was going through the same thing too, because remember at that time I left corporate January 2020. And then of course COVID hit March 2020. And so as we were really starting to ramp up with our first joint business together in a flash, which was a photo booth company, with everything shutting down, there was no events. There was no photo booth or nothing. So we both had to pivot very quickly to identify like what it is we want to do, what skill sets we had, and how to leverage and be able to make this money in the industry. So I think it's really amazing how we both evolved from, 9 to 5 working in corporate to now being 2 independent full-time entrepreneurs and doing very well and in complementary sectors of the business as well is amazing. So I gotta say thank you, for holding me down, instilling life into me, encouraging me, because remember when you gave me that first, that first investment for the first course?
$1,000.
Yeah. And how it's now come to fruition now and seeing where we are, like it's amazing.
Well, I think especially, when you're married, you have to be able to speak life into your partner, the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, because if that person wins, then you win as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And, I give you a lot of credit for sparking or planting the seed for the pallet business for myself. I vividly remember the conversation that you and I had about getting into logistics. You said, baby, I think we need to get into logistics somehow. And me, I'm thinking logistics. The only thing I'm thinking about in logistics is like big trailers and trucks and moving stuff. And I just couldn't see the vision at the time. I just didn't, I didn't understand, right? I just felt like that investment to get to that level was going to be crazy and something that we just couldn't really afford. But you planted that seed. So when the information with the pallet business came back around months later or whatever, it was like the seed was already there for me. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely helped me out as well too. And I think it's reciprocal. And I believe that that's something that is going to continue to be like that as long as we're together, just planting those seeds. And they say you could tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. And so we're in the process of bearing some really great fruit right now.
Absolutely. Man, like guys, if you only knew like how far back we go, and when we talk about the evolution, like it's funny, we were just talking about how we were doing the 2 for $20 at Applebee's, to now being able to be full-time entrepreneurs and support our household and all the things. Like it's just amazing how we have evolved personally and also collectively in marriage, and then also for our respective businesses. So with that being shared, you now had been operating Pallet Pros full-time for 4 years.
Correct.
And so so tell us about like how the humble beginnings of Pallet Pros, like how did you start? If somebody wants to get into this business, like how would they start from your own personal experience?
So, as I stated before, the way I started was I saw videos on YouTube and I just kind of consumed all the information that I saw on YouTube. Then I had to take that information and apply it to the real world. So after I watched the videos, I hopped in my car and I drove around my neighborhood, and I wanted to see if what they were saying on YouTube was in real life. And I saw with my own eyes that what I saw on YouTube translated into the real world. And so, at the very beginning, I didn't have any trucks. I didn't have anything. I had my good looks and a composition book to capture potential clients. And so I just started getting out and knocking on doors and slowly building up my clientele base. And I never overpromised. I just told people the truth. I said, hey, I'm starting the pallet business in your area. And, can you tell me a little bit of, about your pallet situation or what's going on with your pallets? And then when they gave me the information, I said, great, I'll be back in touch with you. Give me some time. Let me put the logistics together. And then that's what I did. And I slowly started to build up my clientele to where it's like a puzzle, to where the pieces kind of started to fall in place. And then as I started to make a little bit of money, then I went and bought my first truck. Before that, I was renting trucks. I would go to Home Depot and spend $20 and keep the truck for a day. It'd be $100 for the day plus gas, and I would do that. But then once I was able to get enough money, I went and bought my own truck, and then I was able to secure my own storage unit, and then move up from that to get a warehouse, and then I just started buying supplies. So then I purchased a forklift. But before the forklift, we used to hand load everything. I had a Sawzall, which is a reciprocating saw. Before that, we used to have to saw things by hand. Before I had a nail gun, we used to have to nail stuff in with the hammer and nail. So it was just the progression on up with the business. I kind of forgot the rest you were asking me. What else did you ask on top of that? The humble beginnings, and what else?
Really the humble beginnings, and really just highlighting like if somebody wanted to explore.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if somebody wanted to explore this business and see if it's the right path for them, then I would tell them to do exactly what I did. Just hop into your vehicle, hop into your car, and go take a ride through, an industrial area that's near your house, right? A business park, industrial area. You can easily hop on Google and just Google industrial area near me or industrial warehousing near me, something like that. And it'll direct you to the nearest business park or, whatever. And just go ride through the shipping and receiving area, and you're going to see pallets back there and other materials. Because what happens is a lot of these businesses that do shipping and receiving, so pallets are a commodity. It goes hand in hand with packaging, with what Megan does. And if a business has a shipping or receiving department, They either have a need for pallets or they have a need to get rid of pallets, one of the two. And so the business is already there. You just have to be the type of individual to go and seek that business out and figure out solutions for your prospective clients. And so I would tell anybody that wants to get into this, just go hop in your car, ride around to a distribution area and see if you see pallets and other warehouse materials in the back. If you do, then that's an opportunity for you, because what happens is these warehouses get filled up with a lot of that material because their packaging comes on those pallets, but they might not have a way to get rid of those pallets. So what do? They store them in the corner in the warehouse, or they put them out back, which causes a few problems. For one, if it's stored outside, it becomes an eyesore. The property manager or even the city might have some type of regulation to where you can't put stuff out there. So it becomes an eyesore, it becomes weathered. Eventually the stacks fall over and it becomes trash. And then it invites a home for pests and rodents, which could cause a potential liability issue for the people that work at that warehouse or that location. That's if they stack them outside. If they put them inside, then it becomes a liability as well, because if the stacks become disorganized or unorganized, they can fall on somebody, or a person can get injured because maybe a pallet is sticking out too far and they get cut as they're driving by, maybe on a forklift or pushing something by from an exposed nail, something like that. So a guy like me can come through and really solve a problem for that business by removing those pallets. And then on the flip side, they may need pallets as well too, or other materials such as Gaylord boxes, what else, crates, cardboard drums, so on and so forth. So we solve quite a few problems for the businesses. But yes, that's what I would say for anybody that wants to hop into this or to see if it's real. Just take a ride through your nearest business park or industrial area and you will see pallets outside. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And like Brandon Mabe said, pallets are everywhere because it is a commodity. We have all goods coming in or out of the country, into the states, into the city, into your local stores on a pallet. Now, there's different types of pallets, which I do want to ask you about here shortly, that you see readily available outside of like different warehouses. But people think that, a lot of times I think one of the misconceptions is that pallets is only utilized for decor, for like headboards and things of that sort, which is really cool. But I want to also ask you, Brandon, I'm about to say Bay again, I want to ask you, like, from your experience in being, operating the business for 4 years, seeing the influx and how the market has been fluctuating in reference of just the economy as a whole, and then also within the pallet industry. First question is, like, what misconceptions do people have around the pallet industry or being the pallet guy?
To be honest with you, I don't even think a lot of people know that this industry is even around. I think people disassociate the pallet from the product that is on top of the pallet, right? Like they don't even think of, like, how did this product even get into the store onto the shelf? So a lot of people don't even know that this industry really even exists. They just know that their products are on the shelf when they want it, but they don't necessarily know about the logistics side of it. But when you get past that, one of the misconceptions is that pallet guys are just like hustlers, basically, which is somewhat true because pallet guys typically fall into the same category as guys that like pick up scrap metal and, recyclers. So people tend to think that this is a job to collect beer money, right? Or a little hustle.
Yeah.
But the way that we dispel that myth, so to speak, is by being professional and looking professional. So what I did was, I'm not driving around in a little small beat up truck that has 10 dents on the side. I went and bought a flatbed. I have my truck is clean. I have my business name on the side of my truck. I have a uniform that I wear, which is a Pallet Pro. I don't have it. I should have put it on today, but whatever. It's a Sunday and we're relaxing. So, but no, I'm clean cut when I approach businesses. I have clothing on that clearly represents my brand and my business. When I do business with other businesses, I'm professional and respectful with the way that I conduct my business with them. And I have certain things in place that they automatically know, oh, okay, this guy means business, such as offering them different ways to pay, right? Some of the guys who just do this for beer money might just want cash up front, but a lot of businesses don't operate with cash. They put you on a net term, net 7, net 14, net 30, so on and so forth. So we forward them a QuickBooks invoice. That's professional. That's pretty much it. Yeah, most people just think they think that this is just like a hustle, and I have to tell and explain to people that no, this is not a hustle. This is a legitimate business, and I run my business as such. I've been able to take care of my family for 4 years now doing this, and if this is just a hustle, then this would be one of many things that I did, but this is what I do.
Yeah,
full time. And they think that the guys, because like I said, of the nature that this falls into, they think the guys are dirty. And you know what I'm saying? You get a picture in your head of some dude digging in trash for some pallets or, you know what I'm saying, some scrap metal. That's what you automatically assume. But no, that I don't conduct my business in that manner at all. And I believe that's one of the reasons that I've been able to sustain and be around as long as I have, because of the professionalism aspect.
And so I think that's something really good to know and really profound. Like, just as we talk about like the evolution and like your own detour to destination journey into the pallet industry, you know, it's really fascinating to just kind of see how you dispel some of the myths around just being the pallet guy that's just coming to get a few pallets to do a quick flip for beer money or just for any transaction for that day. And like, I'm really proud of you because I've seen you build a true sustainable business with sustainable other businesses and sustainable wood and materials and putting them back into the circular economy, which we talk about as well. So check out the episode I talked with Julia Wilsey, where we talk about the global impact of the circular economy. And some of the things we see in pallets is one of them, as well as some of the other shipping materials you offer. So my next question, as we're talking about sustainability, it's a couple questions around this, which is, first, as you started to build your business when you first started, you went from a Home Depot truck to buying your own first truck. I don't think you talked about buying your second truck, which doubled the length of the flatbed. And that was what, year 2, how we moved from the storage unit, maybe like a 10 by 20.
10 by 30.
Okay, 10 by 30 storage unit to a whole warehouse. And that's how you bought your forklift. Speedy. So check us out on Instagram. You'll see Speedy loading us on and off the truck, because prior we were hand loading. And I was even out there on the truck too, at times unloading, hand loading, hot, breaking nails, all of that, because y'all know I stay with my nails. You know, so it's really been cool to see like the evolution of like your own sustainable business and the practices. And I think one thing that has contributed to like your professionalism, as you talk about, is our experience with Enterprise. Because, and even like your other careers and jobs prior, but Enterprise was really foundational, I think, for both of us, because it really taught us about how to drive loyalty within the brand, in your business. Also, how to not over promise to under deliver. You want to over deliver and under promise, you know, so being able to know how to relate to people based upon different cultures, background, ethnicities, you know, cultures, creeds, whatever that may be. Enterprise was really foundational because we dealt with a lot of different people in those environments.
And I think that's really the strength of, you know, this is not a plug for Enterprise, but but both of us came from that background. But that was one of the greatest things I believe about Enterprise. I didn't like it or appreciate it at the time because it was a 9-to-5 and I was a little bit younger. But the fact that you do see so many different types of personality definitely set me up for my business now. I mean, at Enterprise, you see everybody from the soccer mom who's driving the minivan, who got into a fender bender, to the Monday morning jet setting guy who just got off a plane, who needs his car. He's not going to talk much. He just needs his car and he wants out. To the weekend warrior that wants to rent a nice car for the weekend or whatever. So you see all types of different individuals and you're forced to interact with them. And so that experience definitely set me up to be able to sell myself within my business now, because it just makes the job easier. I mean, it's even on the coaching side that we do for Pallet Pros Academy, that's a hard skill to try to get across to other people who don't have those skills. And it comes natural to Megan and myself because we've already been through the ringer with it. And so when we try to teach those same skills to other people, it's sometimes difficult for them to grasp that aspect. And I think that's probably one of the challenges that a lot of people just in business encounter, because you have to sell yourself ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a skill that is difficult to learn.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So we're going to definitely get into Pallet Pros Academy a little bit more extensively, but I want to come back to sustainability in your business. So for part two of the question around sustainability, how have you cultivated relationships with other local builders, and what would that look like for your business as well?
So how have I cultivated? So I believe in building, a strong team. You can't do everything yourself.
Mhm.
Right now, we're a two-man operation. I do, for the most part, all the heavy lifting, and Megan handles the admin side for me. She does a very good job at that. And then we have a part-time college student that comes in and works for us a few
Mhm.
times a week as well. But you can't do everything yourself. As you continue to grow, if you try to do everything yourself, you're just going to find yourself getting burnt out.
Mhm.
So I was able to cultivate relationships really just by doing good business. I locked in. I have two main contractors that I deal with, and I have a third contractor that is kind of like the backup. I just kind of keep them all in rotation. But the way that I met them was my first main guy. I met him at his ground level as well too. I mean, I think he was a year or 2 years into the business at the time, and I approached him just by making phone calls, and we were able to lock in, and we did a lot of business together, like a whole bunch of business together. And he just became my right hand man because he gave me an opportunity when I didn't have any money to. So I had a order for some pallets, but I didn't have the money up front to pay for them, and he let me get those pallets on credit. And then once that happened, and I was like, oh, he trusts me,
Mhm.
shoot, let's go from there. And then my other guy that I built relationships with was, I was at my first contractor spot, and another guy that does business with my main contractor pulled up and struck up a conversation. I found out that he had a pallet yard a few more miles down the road, and so I developed a relationship with him. So that's contractor number two. And so what I do, and then the third guy was the same way. Like, he just popped up on the guy's site, and we just developed a relationship.
Mhm.
And they had seen my truck because I'm in the city, and
Mhm.
so we just kind of went from there. And I just found a core group of guys who I know are on the up and up. We do great business with each other, and I just keep that in rotation. And then I have other guys who don't have pallet yards who we just do business together. So we might do an order together. Like, he might have a customer that needs some pallets. He doesn't have the pallets right then. He says, "Hey, Brandon, you got the load?" "Yeah, I got the load. Let's go half on it." And we do stuff like that. These guys don't even really have pallet yards. They're in the same boat as I am, but we cultivate those relationships by just doing good business with each other, being honest with each other and what your capabilities are. As Megan said before, don't overpromise and underdeliver. You want to underpromise and overdeliver. And then that's how I was able to build those relationships and cultivate them to this day.
I think that's really good. And, it seems like the universal theme you're saying is doing good business.
Doing good business.
But that also comes down to being a good person, not a pushover or anything, but if you have good morals and values and such, it really sets the tone of who you are as a person to then do good business with other people as well.
So I've heard the saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but anyway,
Okay.
basically it's along the lines of, don't focus so hard on the destination, right? Take a moment to recognize this current state that you're in, and enjoy the ride getting to your destination, and enjoy developing those relationships with those people, and enjoy doing good business with each other. Because if you're so quick to get to your destination, you're going to miss everything in between. My dad tells me, he said, these are the exciting times. Building your business up is the exciting time, because once you finally get to your destination, whatever that is, then you can reflect back and be like, man, I've been through all of this stuff to get to where I am.
Yeah.
To get to where I am now. And so it's like, don't be so focused on just getting to the end, but be focused on the here and now. And when you do good business, I know it sounds cliche, we said it a million times already, but when you really do good business and lock in with people that you work well with and have shown and proved that they're trustworthy, then you stick with those people until you get to the end. So I know it sounds cliche to keep on saying do good business, but that's really the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. Absolutely.
Yeah. And even like guys, like when I do ride with Brandon, it's on select days when I do ride with him. And because I'm at home running my business, and on a lot of meetings. And a lot of times I'm still in meetings by the time my husband comes home. So when I do ride with him and just seeing how he, his demeanor and like how he interacts with people that he's met, like his contractors, we know that the contractors' families, like we've been to one of his contractors' home for the baptism and stuff like that. So, like we've really developed relationships with our contractors, where it's so cool to see how like they speak like positively about my husband. I'm like, well, first off, he's just a dope guy, period. I wouldn't be married to him if he wasn't. Secondly, to see how, he's always been intentional about doing good business. Like, let me just pause and say, like, before I met my husband, I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur, period. But when I met my husband, boyfriend at the time, he's always had like an entrepreneurial mindset, from personal training to, starting his own business with Gamble Enterprise, to now seeing, 17 years later, he has Pallet Pros Academy, and he's the one that really spurred me to start my business. He was, gave me my first investment by paying for me to go through a training program to help shift my mindset on, my own limiting beliefs and stuff. So he's always had an entrepreneurial mindset. So the fact that I still see people speak positively about him, want to do business with him, it's really, as a wife, it's like really heartwarming. And also, it makes me proud, to be honest.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, it makes me proud to see him. Too. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to add too, because it just popped in my mind. Obviously, doing good business, but service. And you kind of touched on a little bit, just even with our relationship when we were dating, and then obviously in marriage, is service. And let me explain. When you operate from the point of trying to serve somebody else, then everything is going to come back to you. Meaning, not saying you look at it like, okay, I know if I do this for somebody, it's going to come back to me. You shouldn't look at it like that. It's just doing good business and servicing people to see and figure out how you can help solve whatever problem it is that they're solving. Because as long as you're doing that, you're always going to be in business. But you can't look at it with a me attitude. It's the same thing with relationship, any type of relationship. If you look at it from a selfish standpoint, the relationship is not going to last, because you're just going to be sucking everything out, because you're saying, I want what's in it for me, what's in it for me, what's in it for me, versus how can I help this other person out? Whether it's a business, how can I serve them and help them with their problems that they're having? Or even just in a relationship, how can I serve this other person and help them out with whatever situation that they're going through, right? Whether it's a financial situation or an emotional situation, right? How can I help? So I also wanted to add that service is a great thing. And I think we've all heard the quote, this term is better to give than receive. It just does something, I don't know, mentally or spiritually when you operate in kind of like that giving attitude. Now, I'm not saying that you should be taken advantage of. Obviously, there are limits, right? But just recognizing how can I service, other businesses, other people, so on and so forth. Yeah.
And I think, as part of service, there's things that I bring to you, from my own business. And I'm like, hey, how would you handle this? Or what do you think? Or I'm thinking on making this move, and vice versa. So we have, I would say, extensive conversations, around not only our marriage and making sure that we're growing collectively, in our covenant, in our union, but also how we're growing with two respective businesses. Because guys, like I said, we're both two full-time entrepreneurs. There is no guaranteed check. There is no guaranteed insurance. Everything we do, we're going out to hunt, kill, skin, cook every single day, and then do it all over again the next day. And we're sometimes doing that 6-7 days a week. I know you believe in day of rest, so sometimes 6 days, but as part of service, like we make sure that we're of service to each other. And that complements like love language and things of that sort too, but also as growing business owners, who's building an empire. I'm just being honest, we're building an empire, so it's really cool to have this journey and to do it with my number one supporter, my husband, and just the impact that he's making in the industry as well, especially locally. So speaking of locally, I want to ask you, a lot of times, since we started government contracting, we have people ask us, well, hey, where do you service? So share a little bit about like where Pallet Pros services, and what that looks like and why you service those areas.
So we service Cobb County, and Cobb County, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest county in Georgia. I think it is, maybe Metro Atlanta, but it's pretty large. I think there's probably like 4 or 5 cities in Cobb County. You have Marietta, I think maybe parts of Kennesaw, Marietta, Kennesaw, Smyrna, Powder Springs, Austell. So it's like 5 or 6 different cities that we service. And the reason we picked this area because we live in this area. That's probably the number one reason.
Yeah.
Just local. And what was that? What else did you ask me? You asked me why?
So why do we just service this area, and do we go to other areas? Like, do we go interstate?
Okay, yeah. So we do Cobb County because we live here in this area. It's close by. But I will travel, further if the price is right, if it makes sense. I have a customer that's up in Swanee that I got when I first started the business, and they're a good client, and I like working with them, and I believe in if people take care of you, you take care of them, and I don't have a reason to cut ties with them. They're a great client, and I have a customer down that's in Morrow, Georgia, which is a little bit ways away, but they're a good client too. I've had them for about 2 years, so if it makes sense, then if it really makes sense, I'll go anywhere in Georgia, but.
Yeah.
So for real though, if it makes sense, we do travel for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me add some context of what we mean by travel, because as we mentioned, we live in Cobb County. That's where our primary residence is located. Our warehouse is located there. So Cobb County, if you're familiar with Metro Atlanta, that's where the Battery is, which is the homes of the Brave Stadium. So most people know that landmark. So that is within Cobb County. So for us, we really do not have to travel, or let me rewind. We primarily service within like a 20-mile radius, and been able to still be very profitable and sustainable with the operations. Now, some cases people ask, do we travel to other states? Like, do we go to Alabama? Do we go to Florida, to North Carolina, wherever? And at this moment, we do not, but we may have people in our network that may be within those respective states or territories that may be able to support or service them. So it really just depends upon the situation for us, but we do primarily just service like Metro Atlanta area, Cobb County, because that's where we reside. I think the biggest thing that I would say I've seen from a wife standpoint from my husband is him being able to come home every day and still have time to, enjoy time with me. A lot of times I'm still on meetings because I'm servicing West Coast clients by the time he comes home.
Y'all start cooking.
Yeah.
I cook, clean.
Listen, that was one of the reasons why he was a keeper after splitting the referral money with me, like I talked about from Enterprise, but he loves to cook, so some days he'll come home and start cooking if he sees I'm still on meetings, but the fact that he's able to be home every evening, not having to travel extensively on the road, going to different states, like that's something that I can appreciate, to be able to still have time to, wind down, be able to, share about each other's days and things like that in person and have dinner together every day. That's something that's been always been big for me, amongst family, is being able to enjoy dinner together, especially when schedules are hectic, traveling and stuff like that. So it's been really cool, but I just wanted to kind of give context of like where we service a little bit within Metro Atlanta, and also like one of the key landmarks, which is the Brave Stadium. So we live near there, and service within that area, within a 20-mile radius. So that's the beauty of this business, that I would say, is you can really determine where and how you want to service your clients and how close or how far you want to go, because pallets are going all domestically and internationally.
It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
It really doesn't take much, but you just got to have a mindset to know that there is work involved, and there's physical aspect, absolutely, when you very first starting out. So, but this is an awesome business model. I think at this point, I work maybe 30 hours a week, usually out the house around 8 a.m., home around, 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been hot lately too. That's another reason I haven't been staying out a lot. I think in Atlanta we've been getting close to 100 degrees almost every day for the past 2 months, it feels like. So, start early and come home early.
Yeah.
But when I first started out, just like any business, I worked 8-hour shifts, sometimes a little bit more. But I think that was attributed to just the drive, wanting to be successful.
Yeah. And so, thinking about like how we talk about being of service, and especially in the pallet industry, like what type of pallets do you offer as a service, and how do people even get engaged with you or find you?
So we offer all pallets first and foremost.
Okay.
Standard size pallets, which is the standard 48 by 40 pallet. And the reason that is this standard is because you can stack those side by side inside of a 53-foot trailer and they fit perfectly like Legos. So they became the standard over time. It's a standard 48-40 pallet, 2-way, 4-way, GMA pallet. 48 by 48, 36 by 36. We could do everything. We do custom sizes as well too. And then we also, the way we differentiate ourselves from other businesses is we just don't stop with pallets. We offer Gaylord boxes. We offer cardboard. We offer 55-gallon drums, both plastic and metal. We offer wire reels.
Did you mention crates?
We offer crates. So that's how we're able to differentiate ourselves from just other pallet businesses. And then it also provides us with additional streams of income within the business itself. Yeah. So I have customers that say, hey, Brandon, look, I need an order of pallets and I need an order of Gaylord boxes and I need an order of crates.
Yeah.
I've had the trifecta before,
Yeah.
They hit us with that. So that's what we offer. And customers can contact us a few different ways. I'm all over the social media, but the main way is just through our website, which is palletprosga.com. That's the main way that people contact us. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, we're on Craigslist.
Yeah.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's typically how the orders come in. But a lot of the orders, once you start to get to where I'm at, a lot of the orders start to work off referral. And so I'll get a call from customers and they say, hey, yeah, we worked with such and such. They referred us to you, what can you do? And then, the referral is the best because they already come in there ready to spend some money.
Yeah.
You could cut right through the fluff because you already have social proof that, that you're legitimate. So we love the referrals at Pallet Pros for sure.
Man, absolutely. And, even thinking about like my business, like when I'm doing consulting and thinking about packaging development strategy, pack outs, operational support, a lot of times I'm having to educate my brands or actually execute like master shippers, to go on pallets, to be palletized, to be properly received into fulfillment centers. So a lot of times I'm having to educate and train my clients on the importance of pallets and why you need to have somebody in place on your team to help ensure that you're thinking about how to maximize the load on a pallet, how to not have overhang, what does the unitizing of the load look like, understanding how it's being loaded in the trailer based upon the size of the pallets, if it has to be heat treated or not, if it's an A grade, a B grade, refurbished pallet, like all those things matter because in some cases, if you don't meet the specifications, it can get rejected and have a chargeback, all because you possibly aren't, following the proper shipping instructions or not the right pallet or the load is not loaded correctly. It's so many various variables. So those are things that I think about. And so I come to my and ask him like, hey, what are you seeing in the pallet industry? For me to bring to my own practice, Skill Level Consulting, GLC, to offer those right solutions and think through like the operational strategy as well. So pallets and packaging, they go hand in hand for the products to be readily available to all of us as consumers. But, also too, if you would love to learn more about Pallet Pros and how we can best service you within the Metro Atlanta area or refer us, we always, like Brandon said, we always work off of referrals. The link will be down in the show notes for you all. So you can learn more about us and how we interact with our local contractors as well. But and then also like the streams of, the various distribution materials that we offer from Gaylord boxes, reels, crates, drums, etc. And so as part of that, Bae, you've talked about the streams of income, and as part of like having the various distribution materials you offer, you also have a course. that you mentioned earlier, which is Pallet Pros Academy. So share a little bit about like Pallet Pros Academy and what spurred you to create the course from your own experience.
Okay, so Pallet Pros Academy is a coaching course that I set up to basically teach other guys how to get into the pallet business, or even if you're already in the pallet business, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe what we got going on.
No, you're fine.
Oh, if you're already in the business, maybe ways to, strengthen your business, so to speak, or, find something, find new things about a business maybe that you didn't know, or find different strategies or a way to approach the business. Diversify, exactly, that you didn't know, right? And so the reason that we started the academy was because I would have guys constantly come up to me and say, hey, can I pick your brain, right? And me being who I am, I say, yeah, cool, no problem. Ask me anything you want. And guys will ask questions, but I never see them again, or they will never follow up, right? And so from guys coming up, I said, there's an opportunity here to teach people.
Yeah.
And instead of me giving my time away for free, we'll package it up and we'll sell it.
That's it.
Right? Because we're all entrepreneurs here. We're all in business here. And what I noticed was I would stop what I was doing for like an hour and talk with guys.
Anybody got time for that?
And while I enjoyed it, over time, what happened was nobody would ever follow back up with me and tell me thanks for the information you gave me. This is what I did, blah, 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 blah. And so that kind of came it was still my energy, so to speak, because I'd be giving up my time, but there would be no return. So anyway, I saw that there was an opportunity. And so that's when we created the course. So within our course, we have modules on how to, sell pallets, get into the pallet business. We have different scenarios that people are going to run into. We have phone scripts, in-person scripts. What else do we have? I mean, we got everything in there. We got templates in there for people to study. I mean, it's literally a college crash course.
Yeah.
It's about 10 hours worth of information that I compiled over the years. About 10 hours of information in there, a little bit more probably, that I compiled over the years. And it really starts you from zero, if it's your very first day getting into the pallet business, or even if you are an experience within the business. Mm-hmm. I guarantee that there's information within the course that can help you out as well too.
Absolutely.
But I just saw that there was a need. I mean, there's an opportunity. Guys stop me all the time and say, hey man, how you get into this business? Or they want to work with me, or whatever the case is. And so I decided, I'll say, hey man, I think I can put a course together to really help those that really, want that help. And the way I look at it is, if I have a mentor that can help navigate me so I don't have to make the same pitfalls and mistakes, then that's worth whatever the price of the course is. Mm-hmm. Because I'd rather pay to avoid a mistake that could shorten my time horizon by a year or two versus spinning my wheels for a year or two trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And so let me ask you this, because I think there is such a need to dispel the myth, like you talked about earlier, with just being the pallet guy, mm-hmm. or being the hustler, to really creating a sustainable business, pallet, mm-hmm. business. Mm-hmm. And so there are some other courses that are similar in the market. Like what would you say is like the one unique differentiator or really benefits of your course through Pallet Pros Academy?
I really stress ownership, owning your own things within your business, whether it's own your truck, you own your own equipment. I understand that you might not be able to buy a warehouse outright, but you might have to lease the warehouse, but owning everything else, right? And not relying on other people to do your job for you. That's what I would really, really stress to other people, that when you get into this, you really want to own your own stuff, because there are going to be times where you're going to have problems with any business. And if you're relying on other people to do the work for you, then that could leave a gap and create an unnecessary or negative situation for you. And so we really stress ownership with Pallet Pros Academy.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like, I like to look at it like when somebody goes into the military, they have a saying where they break you down to kind of mold you back up again as a mm-hmm. military person. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I take it with Pallet Pros. You either take an existing pallet person or a new person, you kind of break them down and kind of mold them back to that ideal businessman or businesswoman, because a lot of these skills are soft skills, right,
Yeah.
that can easily translate into other businesses. And other businesses will tell you, if you can own the stuff, own it. If you don't have to lease it, don't lease it or whatever, or own it.
Yeah.
How to talk to people, how to sell yourself. So that's stuff that translates well into other businesses. So if a person gets into Pallet Pros Academy and they do it for a while and they say, I want to move on to something else, they can take those same skills that they learned with Pallet Pros Academy and then apply it to whatever else they want to do in life, their next venture in life. Yeah. So we really preach ownership.
Yeah. And that goes back to what you talked about earlier, which is being of service, because you saw from your own personal experience being out, navigating the streets, using like, okay, let me use this site for retaining this and use this site to deliver it. And you kind of saw the logistics, how the logistics would kind of get a bottleneck. And then you was like, you know what, I need to really have ownership over inventory, over my trucks, over the fleet. I don't think you mentioned about you having a trailer too. So like you have a trailer amongst your truck fleet as well here locally, so I think that goes, going back to what I was mentioning, like of service, like you saw from your own experience, how you evolved, how it was humble beginnings to where you are now being, multi 6-figure generating business, and how you saw with other pallet guys, like they're just hustlers, but how can you start to diversify your business? If you're a truck driver, how can you transition into this industry, even if you have sales experience or, whatever your background may be from various backgrounds, and use that same philosophy to build a sustainable business for a commodity that's available everywhere.
It's available everywhere. And also we want to empower people to let them know that you don't have to take scraps. You don't have to do all this heavy lifting and all this work, for pennies on the dollar. You can take these pallets and sell them directly to other customers, other businesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of pallet guys, people don't really know about this industry, number one. And the guys that are in this industry, in my opinion, are doing it backwards. That's my opinion. And I want to be able to take those people that are either new to the industry or the people that have been around for a while and help revitalize their mindset. And like we said, empower them, because I found out that a lot of people are walking around with limited beliefs and low self-confidence, and they take the first offer that they can get on whatever it is, and they don't expand their mind, so to speak, or push beyond that initial offer to see if they can get something more, right? Because they say a sucker's born every day. So if people can take advantage of you, they're going to take advantage of you. And I see a lot of people within this industry, in my opinion, being taken advantage of.
Yeah. So let me ask you this really quick. So you talked about how sometimes you may take the first deal or move forward with that first transaction, and you may still have a limited mindset. So do you believe that in some cases you should not take the first deal? Or do you take the first deal and learn from it and then know, okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to approach this differently? Or what would be your thought?
Well, I'll plug Pallet Pros Academy.
Okay.
About it. Pallet Pros Academy can teach you and provide you with enough confidence so you don't have to take that first deal. And at least you have a little bit of ammo in your back pocket to explore and see maybe you can get a second offer, a third offer. Because when you first get into an industry or business, you don't know what you don't know.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you have somebody that can coach you or mentor you or whatever the case is, you can learn something else. So when you go out there, you can have a little bit of confidence in yourself. To answer your question, I don't think there's necessarily a wrong answer with that, because I also think that, let's say you take that first deal and you learn that you could have got a lot. Okay, let's say it's two people, right? And you took the first deal at $5 and I came behind and I didn't take the first deal and I got $10. And then we came back later on and you said, man, how much you get out of that deal? And I told you 10. And I asked you how much you got out of it. You said, I got 5. Well, guess what? You learned a lesson now.
Yeah.
So sometimes learning those hard lessons can also teach you. Okay. So I think it's situational, right? Yeah, it's situational.
Okay. That's fair, because like you mentioned, you don't know what you don't know until you go through it. I've made a lot of mistakes, respectively, for GLC, and you've made some mistakes with Pallet Pros.
A lot.
And we're continuously learning, as well. And also learning in our marriage, how, the dynamic and understand, okay, let me fall back or let me step up, be of service to that other person. when they need it as well. So I think it's so cool how you've really grown Pallet Pros and Pallet Pros Academy, and not boots on the ground behind the scenes with the business, but just like you're behind the scenes with me with GLC. I think it's amazing of what we're creating simultaneously and together.
But you're an integral part in Pallet Pros as well, though. You help me with a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And I like, in the military, they say, watch my six, which means watch my back. So you catch a lot of things that I just don't see. And quite frankly, it helps me to just stay focused on the sales aspect and building the business up, right? Because a lot of y'all know that once you start getting to the admin side of business, it starts getting real sticky when you're dealing with taxes and you're dealing with sending out invoices and you're dealing with responding to emails. If you don't have a system in place, then that stuff can get messy real fast. And a lot of businesses fail. A lot of businesses fail because they can't get the admin side together.
Yeah.
They could be out there selling it's like having a hole in a boat. You could be bringing in all this business, but if you're not able to retain the business and make sure your financials and the admin side is good, it's going, as soon as it's coming in, it's going right out.
Yeah.
So you are an integral part of Pallet Pros as well, too.
Well, thank you. And you're integral with GLC. Like guys, when I say I be throwing a lot of stuff at him, he be like, I just got in the door. Like literally, or he's on the road and I'm throwing stuff at him. He like, okay.
But that's another good thing about what I do too, is because I actually feel like we talk more.
We do.
On the phone, because with what I do, once again, it's a solitary position.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving a lot, but it gives me a lot of time to listen to podcasts, to, renew my mind or strengthen my mind about business, about spirituality, about finances. It gives me a lot of time to talk to my wife.
Yeah.
So I actually, because when I was working a 9 to 5, we couldn't talk because I was on the phone with other customers. She was on the phone with customers, or you had the inner office dynamic, and you just didn't have that time. But because both of us are solitaire, when I'm gone, Megan's at the house by herself, or when I'm on the road, I'm by myself. So I feel like we probably talk 2 hours a day when I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think we get a lot of our ideas out at that time.
We do.
You'll tell me about what's going on with your day and what such and such did and blah, 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 blah. And that makes us laugh. But then we'll also talk about some things that we need to tackle within the household. We'll talk about things that we need to tackle within the business, my business or your business, respectfully. So that's another plus about what I do, is I actually believe that it's strengthened our relationship. I mean, even with when we're not seeing eye to eye, it's like, shoot, I hop in the truck and give her, let me like, what I know. Let me call this girl, right? Let me call this lady real quick.
Yeah.
See how she's doing. Hey, baby, how you doing? I'm good. Okay, I just want to call and check on you. I love you. I'll see you when I get home. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I believe that it's actually helped with our relationship. It works out really, really well.
I agree. Like, I would not have envisioned where we are now, like 5 years ago, pre-COVID, so to see like we talked about before, see our evolution and stuff here now, it's amazing. And we still have, a good bit to go, but like you said, don't be in a rush to get to the destination. Enjoy the scenic route, enjoy the fruits and enjoy the trees. And sometimes you got to make a U-turn and go back or go a different route, take a detour and stuff like that. But there's beauty in those detours.
You only have one life to live.
Yeah.
So you might as well take advantage of opportunities.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to be the individual that retired at 65 or whatever and looked back and said, man, I should have done this and that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Do it now, while you're still able to do it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So last question for you before we get into wrapping up our segment today is, as we talked about we've talked about Pallet Pros, some of the misconceptions about the industry, service areas, how you got started, and also why you wanted to be of service to create the Pallet Pros Academy. The last question for you is, considering we're hitting 10 years of marriage, which is going by fast, what has been one of your biggest lessons as we intersected business and marriage in our household?
Balance.
What does that mean for you?
It means that the job is going to be there the next day.
Yeah. That's true.
and come home and enjoy my family and my wife.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing is having to balance everything out. Because it's certain, and you and I have had this discussion multiple times, but as a man and a husband, it's just within my instinct to be a provider. And if I didn't have my wife here, I'd probably be working all the time.
Yeah.
And so you, over the years, it's taken a while for me, but I think at the same time for you, it's also, it has to feel good knowing that you have a husband that wants to work and provide for you too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it is that balance. So I'll give you an example. So when you started traveling, you were like, Brandon, I want you to come with me. But because I was so stuck on like, I got to build this up, I got to build it up, I got to build this business, I can't take days off. Last year, when you really first started traveling, I couldn't be with you, right? And I know you understood, okay, Brandon's doing it for us, he's building the business up, blah, 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 blah. But I know a part of you still wishes that I could have been there.
Yeah.
To, be there with you on some of that stuff. So I made a conscious effort to say, you know what, this year, 2024, and going forward, that when Megan travels for business, I'm going to take a day or two off and then meet her in the city where she is. And then so we're kind of killing two birds with one stone.
Yeah.
And that's that balance that I was talking about. So this year, I met you in Miami.
Yeah.
I met you in New Orleans this year. That was twice. So I made a compromise. So I didn't go on every single trip with her, but I said we could do once a quarter. If you take a trip a quarter, then I can do two. I can do 2 quarters with you. Right? So that's that kind of that balance that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The work is going to be here. That's the great thing about the pallet industry is they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere. And then once you set up a consistent schedule and customers know that you are consistent, you kind of grease the wheels a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You put a little bit of money in certain people's pockets. Nothing illegal, but you drop a couple of dollars off here and there to people.
Yeah.
And you overall just take care of people. Then those clients aren't going anywhere. And so that's what I've had to learn is balance. I don't want to gain $1 million in my business and lose my family. What's the point?
Yeah.
But I also don't want to go so far into the family side that I'm not doing my responsibilities for my business and getting to the point where I'm taking, instead of working 5 days a week, I'm working 3 days a week or 2 days, because now I'm losing my presence in the market. And when people call me, oh, you're closed again today?
Yeah.
You were closed one day you've been closed 1 day a week on Fridays. Now you're closed Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. How are we supposed to do business with you, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's work-life balance. That's what I would say. That was a term that I was thinking of, work-life balance, and just balancing that out to where all parties are happy and taken care of.
Okay.
Because you can't do one without the other, right? If I'm not working, I'm not bringing in money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if I'm working too much, then you don't see me, and then it causes issues. So it's just trying to, it's like a pendulum, right? Trying to just get it to where we're at that equilibrium point.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I do want to get to the point where I'm able to automate a lot of stuff and then put other people in position, so I can start to be at home more or venture into other business opportunities. Okay. But that will come.
Yeah. And I think that's a good future state for Pallet Pros as well, because there's a lot of things happening with us personally and collectively, and also within the business, that we want to be able to be of service and offer opportunities, to local talent. That's a whole nother conversation, whole nother topic on workforce, but neither here and there. I think that's something, that's one of my goals too. Future state goals for GLC is to continuously build out my team further, as well, because I'm doing a lot of hands-on things within the business, just like you are with Pallet Pros as well. And you building out the academy, I'm building out my learning institute simultaneously. So guys, we're doing a lot of the same things, just in our own respective businesses as well. And so I want to go back to the question, because I want to share my perspective on it too, on like what I think with the intersection of business and marriage has been for me. And I would say the one word that comes to mind is elevation. And what I mean by that is, one, understanding how we're elevating in our own businesses and what that looks like. And things that we may have done last year may be different than how we would approach them this year. And so being able to really meet you where you are and where you're going, I think is part of like the elevation of us collectively, and then also within the business too. So I would say elevation is the biggest thing for me with the intersection of business and marriage within our household, and being able to, I think the biggest thing you are teaching me, and I'm still having to apply this, is like you said, work is always going to be there, right? With me working different time zones, international team, having this media company with the podcast, part of the company, building out the digital products and stuff like that, training and curriculums, as well as client management. Like a lot of times I can work 7 days a week without question. And so my husband will be like, I'm sitting here playing video games. I'm not bothered about no work. I don't want to think about work. I don't want to think about no taxes. Whole nother topic. I don't want to think about anything pertaining to work. Like this is just my wind down day. And that's something that I'm having to really learn and consciously apply in practice, because
hey, look, God even rested one day.
That's true. And that's what he tells me all the time. Like God rested on one day. So you can do the same thing, So I think, those are things that I'm continuously learning, from him and implementing, and he's learning things from me, as well. And I think that's part of the word elevation, is how we're continuously learning and growing from each other in our own respective quest to be solid in our union as we continue on, God willing, with each every year, and then also within our businesses. As Pallet Pros is growing, Pallet Pros Academy is growing, GOC is growing, Accelerate Level Institute, Product and Packaging Powerhouse podcast is growing. There's a lot of good things in the works for both of us. So babe, I appreciate you for being on here.
Thanks for having me.
So guys, you see how he tried to play me at the beginning, but you see with our conversation, very raw, off the cuff, authentic. This was not rehearsed or anything like that.
This is easy because we have these type of conversations all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
So this was really easy. I hope that I can be a regular.
You can be a regular
on your podcast.
anytime.
You don't get too Hollywood for me,
Hey, listen, if I get Hollywood, you're going to get Hollywood too. How about that?
I like it.
So, okay, guys. Well, if this is your first time here with us, we always go into a power round with our featured guests, which is 60 seconds of fun, fast facts to ask our guest. So we're going to put 60 seconds on the clock and ask my husband, or our guest, powerhouse guest, Brandon Gamble, about some of his favorites as well. So you ready to go on the timer for this? Okay, let's see, 60 seconds on the clock. Let's go. Okay, so out of all the pallets that you do service, tell me what is your most common pallet size that you provide?
It's the 4840 refurbished B grade pallet.
Okay, and so a lot of people refer to pallets as what? So there's a common 2 words that they normally refer to.
Standard pallet.
Okay, there's also another name that they refer to with pallets based upon the color of the wood.
The brown pallets.
Okay.
The wood pallets.
Okay, no. When you're building the pallets and it's not black, if it's not black, it's
white.
Okay, and then pallets are made from
white wood.
Yes. Okay, so name your favorite artist.
My favorite artist is Outkast. That's a group. But if it's a solo artist, probably Project Pat right now.
Okay, Project Pat from Memphis. Okay, so from Outkast here as an ATLian, tell us one of your favorite stanzas or lyrics from Outkast. And what song is it?
Cooler than the polar bear toenails. Oh hell, there he go again talking that been in the corner like a curve. That's Big Boy, and I think that song, The Art of Storytelling, if I'm not mistaken. They got so many hits, but that's the first verse lyric that popped into my head.
Okay.
I'm cooler than the polar bear's toenails.
Oh wait.
Oh hell, there he go again talking that bending corners like I was a curve. I struck a nerve. You about to see the Southern players serve. So on and so forth.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. And, guys, I talk about Outkast as well. And one of my favorite lines from them, because it has my infamous city on there, is putting the South up on the map is like look to rock to banging as well. Okay. And so as we're wrapping up, I thought it would be fun for you to ask me some fun fast facts in 60 seconds. So I'm going to give him my clock. I'm going to put him on the spot, and I'm on the spot too. I've never been on this side. I haven't.
All right, Mrs. Gamble. Who is your favorite R&B artist from the 80s?
Ooh, from the 80s? I would say Sade.
Sade? Okay. Name me a song of hers.
Ordinary Love. Your Love is King.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Orange.
Tell me what your favorite animal is.
Lion. Leo.
All right. We're actually going past 30 seconds, so I'm gonna do a minute for you.
It's 60 seconds.
Oh, we said 60?
Yeah.
Dang, my fault. All right. Well, we waste a lot of time. All right, let's do one last thing. If you could have anything in the world, what would it be?
A conversation with my deceased grandmother to gain wisdom.
Man, that's awesome right there.
Yeah.
All right. And then where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, having an international team to grow GLC, traveling with my kiddos to all of our different sites, and putting us up on the map. It's like Little Rock to Vegas.
There we go. I think that's a fitting way to finish off the podcast, baby.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in to a real conversation between me and my husband, my number one supporter, fan, and also business owner. I'm here, Brandon Gamble with Pallet Pros. So all the respective information that we mentioned in the podcast will be down linked in the show notes for you. Pallet Pros GA, Pallet Pros Academy, and also Get Level Consultants. So you can see all the wonderful things that we're building and creating to be of service to the packaging and pallets industry for our respective consumers. So if you have not, make sure you do follow, like, and subscribe to our channel, and be sure to give us a 5-star rating on your respective platform as well. And make sure you do share this with your network, because your net worth is based upon your network. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in to today's segment, and we'll see you on the next one.